180 plus exhibits on display from 39 institutions participating from across the country. As far east as Silchar, we had a large team from NIT Silchar. We were very happy to see them, and participation from NIT Arunachal Pradesh. And also from the north, Delhi Technological University for the first time had many different exhibits. It was very heartening to see institutions that were coming in for the first time and displaying the talent that they have. It was just amazing to see that. We had, we had about 2,300 registered participants. We had massive participation from the industry. From the number of badges printed, we found that we had printed about 1,755 badges. So you can imagine the scale of the event, and it really showed in the way that the expo halls were full, and the panel discussions were also well attended. So with the amazing level of participation from the industry, we'll only hope that it's also going to be biggest in terms of impact, because it's only one thing for the people to show up and look at the exhibits and participate in the discussions. It's what happens as a follow-up, I think that's most important. So we are hoping that the kind of deliberations that took place during the panel discussions and the interactions that industry had with the exhibitors at the stalls would lead to a lot more interaction between industry and academia. I hope that there's a lot of technology transfers that have already been finalized at the exhibit stalls, and if not, will be done so in the next few days or couple of months following this. One new aspect that we brought into this IINVENTIV was to have Chintan Shivir sessions. Rather than calling them panel discussions, these were Chintan Shivers. The idea was to bring thought leaders from the industry and academia to talk about what the state of the art is, and also have sufficient room for discussion to ensure that we all come with a clear path for how the future of industry-academia interaction should be. Each panel had about 7 to 8 panelists, and some of them were designated as keynote speakers, while the others gave their views in the panel discussion round. All the panels were moderated by experienced reporters from the IITM Shastra magazine. Again, I'd like to highlight that they really put in a lot of effort to ensure that they made the sessions engaging. And they were also our key partners in this IINVENTIV event. We had also arranged rapporteurs from these sessions who actually took the key highlights of the discussions and will be presenting it shortly to you, so that you can get a sense of what the discussions in the other sessions were like, and also how should we move forward from here, because it's not enough to just have the sessions and report on them, but how do we actually build up the path for the future. So in my opinion, this was a very good gathering where we had good footfall from the industry, very interesting exhibits put up by participating institutions, and of course, very enthusiastic participation from the students who had actually come in to see the exhibits. So thank you for your encouragement for the young exhibitors, and also your active participation in the Chintan Shiva sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We've now come to the very important segment of this valedictory function, where the moderators of the roundtable discussions and the rapporteurs from the Chintan Shivir sessions will give a brief summary of the deliberations. I request. Okay. I would like to first call upon Professor M.S. Narayan, the rapporteur for the Medical Healthcare Engineering session.
Yeah, so very good evening. Medical and healthcare engineering. So from reality, the fact is that at some point of time in life, either we have been sick or we know someone who is sick. So that explains the whole context of what the impact of this medical and healthcare engineering is going to bring upon, of which the Chintan Shiva session actually had keynote addresses from 3 important speakers, including 2 professors from IIT Kharagpur and IIT Bombay, and then one from Winstrom, and the other one is from a company which focuses on healthcare engineering. So the idea is to have an academic lead moving on to the path of R&D and then ending up in translation, handheld by an industry. So with this, we also had this diversity expressed in the whole panel that was sitting of which the tripartite interaction becomes very specific and very crucial when it comes to healthcare. So the way how academia and industry handles each other, especially starting from, so for academia, we say that academic enterprises and academic organizations are the cradles of innovation, not just innovation, but also R&D that can lead into translatable products. And that's where they start going close to the industry, for which new products and technologies become quite emerging and impactful, for which again we need the support of government entities in terms of varieties of strategic moves, and there we see the complete stratification of how healthcare domain is seen in our country. So with all of these, what becomes prominent is an intersectoral approach, which became very evident from the whole panel discussion. And next, when we see the diversity of domains that have been engaging, starting from public health or community medicine, and also on the other side, lifestyle disorders, non-communicable diseases, etc. What becomes also interesting is that people start moving from a multidisciplinary slowly to a cross and transdisciplinary approach. And this becomes evident when we bring diverse stakeholders across different domains and have them on the panel, wherein each of their inputs become very critical to formulate policies, to bring in products onto the table, which can directly get commercialized and make a huge impact. And from the sessions, I tried to just quickly give a SWOT analysis where we see that the main strength lies in the motivation and the path we are leading to emerge ourselves as a global leader in terms of healthcare and medical engineering. But then again, we do have some limitations, especially in bridging the domains between the transition from R&D across navigating the TRL levels. But then there are variety of opportunities that lie in front of us, especially capacity building, which in the previous decades have been quite poor, but now the training and the importance we give to manpower becomes quite heavy, and this helps us in undergoing all of these threats a bit away from what we actually want to do. I'll quickly browse through 10 seconds in each of these three case studies what we had as keynote lectures. The first one was a bit well underlined fungal endophytes, where we see that there are a diversity and plethora of such natural resources in terms of biodiversity occurring in our Bharat, which have the potential to express themselves as a variety of products, which once again have a strong impact in terms of industrial commercialization as well as products straight into the society. And last but not the least, we also have a variety of certain technologies which have been a bit underestimated, but which show potential in the last few decades. For example, we see that the food we eat is what constitutes our entire microbiome. And what we say as microbiome is nothing but the diversity of microorganisms that is present in our own body. And this has a huge potential to change the health status of an individual. And these kinds of attention into new and emerging areas have also been underlined in the Chintan Shivir sessions that happened yesterday. And then also something from the government side, now that the Department of Biotechnology has started pitching into this Bio E3 policy, where they have given huge importance to biomanufacturing. And here, last but not the least, we also have certain departments that come closer together to host such biofoundries, biomanufacturing hubs. Right here at IIT Madras is a key example of how many of these can be taken forward to ensure a sustainable and a circular bioeconomy. And for this, there were a variety of approaches that were proposed in order to bring academia and industry closer, not just on paper, but also in terms of reality, where we see that there are certain approaches from different stakeholders, including students and faculty at the forefront, which can help in bringing all of these closer together. For example, joint certification programs, finishing schools, etc. And also, very interestingly, professors who can take up sabbaticals in industry, not just in academic institutes, so that they have a first-hand feeling of what such translation is, which in turn can be taught to the students. And the road ahead, how we saw this, where in 3 different levels, the immediate ones start with direct R&D partnerships, where industry says hello to academia, which we have initiated quite well ahead in terms of the IITM rich ecosystem, what we have in the research park, and various other TTOs, IROs, etc., what is hosted in IC and SR in IIT Madras. And in terms of the midterm, we do see that there is a lot of push that the government is going to give in terms of bringing all of these stakeholders together, for which what is needed is obvious partnerships, especially in terms of public-private partnerships, which will ensure that the global brand with India as an emerging sector is going to be established. So with all of these, we realize that innovation is not just the responsibility of R&Ds, but everyone's responsibility, where we see to that the translational regimen is established in a very strategic way. So IITM has already put in a lot of efforts, especially the healthcare sectors is quite multidisciplinary here. It's not just belonging to one department. To begin with biotechnology, biomedical engineering, the new MST department, engineering design, some wings in mechanical, etc. All of us join hands together to push all of these forward across different regiments, once again, what you see here on the board. But very importantly, to come closer together in terms of not just policies, but also translational aspects. I think I finish here. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor H.S.N. Murthy from the Aviation, Defense and Space session.
No, I don't have a presentation as such. I'll just talk. I think we had a very lively and passionate panel discussion on aviation, defense, and space. One of the things that was pointed out is all these three things have really converged today. I mean, you cannot really classify them as three separate things. All of them together work hand in hand together. We had an excellent set of panelists and speakers. To begin with, we had Mr. Suresh from Airport Authority of India, who talked about the challenges that arise because of explosion of this passenger growth in civilian sector, and so how there are a whole lot of challenges that they are facing, that wherein both industry and academia could work together with Airport Authority of India and developing solutions on air traffic management, for example. And they are also moving towards satellite-based navigation. Again, there they need some hand-holding, and of course data analytics, because our as the passenger traffic has increased, they're trying to bring down the spacing between the aircrafts, and they're trying to do better way of managing all this traffic. So in all these cases, they pointed out how academia and industry can work together. And similarly, from if you're looking at this was from aviation sector. Similarly, when we look at defense sector, the Director General of Technology Management, Dr. Lalchand, also mentioned about what are the various opportunities that are there, which DRDO has created for engagement with industry and academia. He was talking about the 25% of their budget being, kind of earmarked for these kind of opportunities, these kind of engagements. And so those open up a lot of opportunities for industry as well as academia. And they also have 15 centers of excellence in various IITs and so on. IIT Bombay has the center of what used to be the Center of Propulsion Technology, and similarly every IIT has a center of excellence. So these are all things that he familiarized us with. Similarly, General Shankar also talked about how we are now trying to bring in academia, research labs like DRDO, ISRO, etc., and industries along with armed forces together in the form of a virtual center, something that IIT Madras has taken a lead on. It was talking about that. Hopefully it will come into existence within next 1 or 2 months, this particular center. And similarly, we had people from space, which is Dr. Sam Dayal Dev, talked to us about what are the challenges going in space. Space debris management, for example. Navigation is a big challenge still, especially if you're looking at inertial navigation systems. What are the various inertial navigation systems that ISRO has been working on, where academia and industry could engage? For example, whether it's hemispherical resonator gyros or quantum gyros and so on. Similarly, he was talking about smart space robots, which are very essential today for a whole lot of activities, including hostile so some of the things where there will be some hostile activities as well. We need to counter those hostile activities in space as well. And of course, space robotics are also very essential for debris management, space debris management as such. So in addition to that, we had a few industry participants. We had Colonel Whelan, who talked about his journey in adopting NAVIC for navigation systems, NAVIC systems, ranging from mobile systems to all the way to more military applications. Again, he emphasized the importance of this navigation systems, adoption of these navigation systems, where again, a lot of challenges are there, and where academia and industry can work together. Followed by these talks, we had a panel discussion, very passionate panel discussion. The passion in the discussion was clearly indicated that everybody cares, and I think that's the good thing. Every component of this, I look at this as having 4 components: the government agency, the academia, the national labs, and the industry. Every component of this, these four, let's say, legs of the table, every component of this, they were very passionate about their points. Everybody cares, I think, but they all want to work together and finding solutions wherein all four of us can work together and come up with good technologies. And of course, there were some pain points which were also talked about, and certain lacunae in the panel. One of it was, we didn't have any large industries who had participated in that particular panel. That would have made it a bit better, I think, and that we'll take care of it hopefully in the next round. And second aspect of it is, finally, when all this technological solutions have to happen, finally, there's one thing which plays a very, very important and large role, which is money. So they thought that it would be nice, especially in aviation space and defense sector, it would be nice if in such Chintan Shivers somehow we managed to involve IFAs, financial advisors and so on, so that they understand what are the pain points here, and then ensure that they don't treat R&D as procurement. Currently, R&D in general is treated as procurement. That was one of the points that was raised, saying that again you have to go for tender and 3 people have to put tender. All those things have to be kind of streamlined a bit. So one suggestion which came up was that in future we should involve finance people as well. That was the elephant in the room, or maybe elephant which was not in the room. And of course, everybody cares, everybody wants to contribute, wants to make this happen. I think one thing is, in addition to this kind of public Chintan Shivers, it probably going ahead in future, it's probably also a good idea to have some smaller Chintan Shivers in closed door, because it's very clear that everybody wants to make this happen. We have to somehow get together, work in a collaborative mode rather than transactional mode. That was another thing that came about during panel discussion, especially when I forgot academia. We had Professor Pradeep, who presented about IIT Bombay's activities. Professor Pradeep also brought it out very clearly that if we all work together in collaborative mode rather than transactional mode in the sense, now whether it's an industry or DRDO or whoever it is, give us a project, they just monitor the project, they gave the project, we have to deliver something. Right? It's more transactional, whereas what worked for him and would probably ideally work is all of us working together in collaborative mode. They're not just monitoring us, they're working together with us to develop these technologies. That was one of the most important outcomes, I think. And I think I'm sure going ahead in future, we'll get all our acts together with more such interactions. So that's that from aviation, defense and space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor V. Sriram from the Marine Technology session.
Good evening. So this is a report on the session on marine technology. So we have about 7 panelists. Actually, it is well placed with 3 from government and 3 from industry and 1 from academia. And we have secretary from Ministry of Earth Science, as well as he gave a talk on the entire opportunities as well as challenges that is faced by the Ministry of Earth Science in developing the technologies, as well as to making it readiness available for the people to use it, as well as we have from director from National Institute of Ocean Technology. It's basically R&D, wherein he talked about mostly the Matsya, which is a deep ocean mission of the government of India, wherein the submarine is going to go for the deep ocean 6,000 meter water depth, and how to collect the minerals. I will talk about some of those things in the second part. And then we have from the Larsen and Toubro, from the design from the naval architect, from the shipbuilding, as well as we have a panel discussion from the NRB secretary, as well as from the Amuja Siemens from Adani Ports, and of course from Professor Krishan Gutti from the QSAT from academia. And I just split it into 2 things. One is on challenges. That's what mostly the speakers are focused on. And the second one is the opportunities which are there for marine engineering part. So basically, the speakers have focused on 5 key areas in marine technology. One is food, energy, mineral, and fresh water from the ocean, how to get it, as well as what are the technologies that is required for that, and particularly the shipbuilding and maritime transportation, how to effectively do it. And for these things, there are three challenges which are going to take place. One is climatic condition, non-climatic condition, as well as the technology readiness. In these 5 areas, how we are able to bring it. And of course, whenever you try to do any technology, the key point is both it's a ocean. We cannot deploy everything, so you have to have a sustainable planning for the long term, as well as try to safeguard the natural ecosystem throughout. As well as in the case of shipping industry, one of the aspects is try to have an optimum ship routing, so that we can able to reduce the fossil fuels in the long run. So that is again the battery propulsion systems and many more which we have been talking about. Of course, we have got from Naval Research Board, so we also talked about something on the technology that is required for the future naval ships, as well as particularly the autonomous vessel, as well as USV. And coming back to the opportunities, of course, when you say blue economy, it's money always put together, and it's one of the important aspects is the indigenous technologies that we have to develop in the Indian context, and more importantly, recently from the deep sea fishing, this was highlighted by Ministry of Secretary, wherein there is a deep sea fishing policy which has been governed by the government of India recently, wherein if you look at it, roughly 1% of the GDP is from the marine fisheries. So how do we advance this when you go for the southern Indian Ocean, for the advanced marine vessels as well as artificial reefs to improve this particular one, as well as it also involved with the blue biotechnology, wherein the marine plants and animals, how we can able to take care of it, as well as the coastal ecotourism. And then we also talked about the minerals when we are going to harness from the deep ocean. It should not, it should not have any effect to the animals which is in the deep ocean. So how do we take care of it? So it's basically biologists as well as technologists has to work together. So that is one of the key aspects that has been highlighted over there when we try to do it. And of course, whenever you go for the deep water, there is underwater telecommunication, which is the basic one which we need to take care of the technology aspect. There is a huge opportunities which are available. How do we telecommunicate in the underwater sector? That is also highlighted during the panelists, as well as the research on some of the high electric power for the next generation warship, as well as for the commercial ship or for battery propulsion is also one of the important aspects. And one of the important aspects that has been come out of this particular session is the digital revolution, because we cannot able to do the entire technology in the marine engineering or marine aspect or ocean engineering, because as of now all the sensors are basically imported for the underwater aspects. So we cannot able to go to that level, but we can actually start low-hanging fruits. That was one of the aspects wherein you can able to contribute to the software development, and there is a lot of port operations which are actually require digitalization. So those things we can able to take up along with the small equipment manufacturing for the sensors. So that is also one of the opportunities which the industry has to take care along with the research institutes. That's what it has been highlighted. Of course, there are different level of automation we talked about in the ship transportation, and what is the effect of the AI for this entire aspect. So that is also one of the aspects which we discussed in this entire one. And most importantly, the last part of the panel discussion is more about the R&D, how much the R&D is being put by the Indian industry. But that for marine technology is almost nil. That was one of the acceptance which comes from the industry also, sir. In the industry collaboration as well as with the academic institute has to be more. So this is one of the outcome. And marine, and if you look at marine technologies, it's very, very narrow discipline, but we have oceans of opportunities and oceans of money involved in it. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor Atreya Biswas from the session on sustainability.
No, not this one. So, good evening, everyone. While this is being set up, I would like to ask a question. How many of you know, those who were there yesterday on the Chintan Shivir on e-mobility and sustainability, they would know the answer. This is for the rest of the people. How many of you know that what is the power consumption for our T Nagar in Chennai? Can you have a guess? It's around 150 megawatt. Because it's one of the hustling and bustling point of the city, and this is one of the important fact that I learned yesterday from the Chintan Shivir, and all this amount of power is required for the energy and transportation and lot of other resources that like the heat transfer, the air conditioning. It was a important question that it was answered yesterday. The urgency was the sustainability, e-mobility, and how would we like to save our planet for the future generation. So in that thing, we had 8 panelists. We had Professor Mr. S.A. Sundaraisen from Ashok Leyland. We had Mr. Ravichandran Purushothaman from Danfoss, India. We had Professor Sebastian C. Peter from his company called Breathe. It's a startup who converts the CO2, that directly captures the CO2 from atmosphere, or let's say from the exhaust of power plant or the vehicles, and transforms that into methanol, which can be used as a further energy usage. So I'll briefly talk about their other discussion points. Then we also had Ms. Janani Mittal from Techneep. We had Mr. R. Lakshmanan from MCA Gulf. We had Mr. Hari Prasad Konka from Eaton Research. And most of us, we know Dr. Karthik Atmanathan from our own department, Department of Engineering Design. He was there as a key panelist. And last but not least, Rahul was there from, he was from, I guess, Baker and Heaps. So the key takeaway that we had yesterday was how would like to save our planet for the next generation. And when Mr. Sundaraisen talked about the sustainability and the collaboration opportunities with the universities, he mentioned a lot about the repurposing, the green mobility solutions, and novel battery chemistries. He also mentioned about how we can reduce the power consumption of transportation and other energy sectors if we can use repellent, like heat repellent or coatings, which will reduce the power consumption for the air conditioning and HVAC system. Then Mr. Purushothaman from Danfoss mentioned about the dire urgency of a circular economy-based public policy making, and he urged that IIT Madras should step up into the game, and they should help the government, both the federal and the state government, for policy making, so that this circular economy based business model, which is also sustainable at the same time, that is a profitable business. That's what he mentioned about. Then Professor Sebastian Peter, he shattered the bench yesterday, like with his inventions, which can convert the CO2 directly into methanol. We also saw our chemical engineer department in IIT Madras is also converting directly CO2 into some other energy resources. So definitely there is a chance for direct CO2 sequestration, which can help not only to passively, like some of the solutions we are nowadays looking at, this the e-mobility, electrification of the transportation, they can passively help the sustainability problem, but these are some of the direct method which can help the carbon footprint on our planet and save the planet for the next generation. With that, I would like to thank Dean ICSR and everybody for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor Karthik Raman from the AI/ML Technologies session.
Projector. So I'll be quick. So we had a So we had a very nice session earlier in the day today. We had a few folks from the industry. We had Aravindan Raghuveer from Google DeepMind. We had Aravindan from Kyndryl, who was part of the panel. Amit Singhi from IBM, who gave a keynote as well. We also had Krishnan from METI, who shared very interesting insights on the India AI initiative and so on. And those were the rest of our panelists, and it was moderated by Shubhashri Deshikan. So one thing that was mentioned in some of the talks was that in India, we are like very ripely set, leveraging an excellent digital infrastructure and a skilled talent pool, and potential lower disruption risk compared to other economies, given our lesser fraction of white-collar jobs and so on. And a thriving startup ecosystem and lots of academic and industrial research, and presenting us with a big opportunity to leapfrog. And there was a lot of discussion about the India AI mission, but I would just like to highlight one thing here, which is for all the data scientists out there, there are going to be about 500 data sets that are going to be released very soon. And this is going to give us a huge opportunity to look at impactful government data, usually data that's just buried in the government and not open access. So this is going to be ready for access, and about 120 are already ready, is what Mr. Krishnan was mentioning. And there are also lots of fellowships which he invited people to take advantage of. And I think those in the AI space would very well know the latest call for the foundation models. But there are already ongoing initiatives such as the Bhashini and AI for Bharat and Bharatjan initiative. And also lots of interesting players in the private sector. And IBM focused on some of the strong academic collaborations that have already been set up with IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, and IIT Madras. And but the common thread across all of these presentations and discussions was that it's become highly interdisciplinary, and you need to have these conversations between the domain scientists, the data scientists, and also the governmental folks and so on, because it's quite critical for their policies to enable many of these things. But as Krishnan was saying, they've been as little restrictions as possible to encourage and foster innovation in this space. And many challenges were debated in terms of addressing scaling and efficiency in AI applications. This also brings us to the sustainability point. Bias and ethical implications, cultural awareness, right? And because a lot of the models that are developed are all developed with Western data and so on. So translating them to the Indian languages, Indian cultures, a lot of challenges. And of course, the classic challenges of explainable AI, transparency, responsible AI, and so on. These were all discussed in depth. And quickly in the panel discussion, we had a very lively panel discussion, touching upon a variety of points. I'm just going to highlight a few here. Started off with the discussion of impact of AI on mobility and various other industries, geospatial AI applications, and very interestingly, the continuing relevance of conventional AI alongside Gen AI, because there's a lot of hype around Gen AI now, but conventional AI still has a huge impact in the Indian industry, MSMEs and so on. And of course, everybody's favorite discussions about artificial general intelligence and the challenges of incorporating new kinds of data into the digital framework and so on. And so the key takeaways were developing India-first AI solutions and ideally positioning India as the AI talent capital of the world. Requires a lot of work, and safe, responsible, and ethical AI frameworks have to be developed, and a collaboration with all these key stakeholders. I think that goes without saying, but I think it was repeatedly underlined in terms of the government, academia, and also the domain experts in every field, right? So whether it be doctors or scientists and lawyers and so on, domain experts bringing their expertise to bear on AI projects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor Nikhil Bugalia from the session on smart cities and infrastructure.
Good evening. Unlike all my other colleagues, I do not have well-made slides, but I'm not going to worry about it. And not going to worry about was also one of the themes of our session, in a way that all of us live in the cities, which are full of problems. So our panelists actually set up a nice tone that we are not going to worry about the problems and just discussing about the problems, but actually look forward to the solution. So it was truly a Chintan Shivir, not a Chinta Shivir, which is a perfect way to, that's the way panelists set it up, right? And some of the thought-provoking definitions that came was to first define what is actually smart and what is actually cities. So one of the beautiful acronym that our own alumnus, Dr. Sitaram, who is also at the ADBI consultant, working with the high-speed railway right now, he brought out an interesting definition of, or expanding this acronym of cities. And what he identified was C stands for the competitiveness, I stands for the infra, T stands for the transport, another I stands for the IT, the information technology, E stands for the environment, and S stands for the shelter. And if these are the things that you are able to tackle, then in the true sense, you are focused about the cities. So that's the definition of cities. The second part is what is smart about cities. And this is again, which was debated a lot. Immediately, the key definition that comes of smart is a lot of technology, a lot of sensors. But this was one myth that was kind of debugged in the sessions also, that unlike this original buzz about creating a lot of digital infrastructure, a lot of sensor-enabled platforms, which kind of took the initial discussion, it's a good news that a lot of Indian cities have recognized what is truly smart for them. And the important thing that was highlighted was that a lot of Indian cities are coming up with a definition of smart that is already embedded in their existing priorities of being resilient, being sustainable, which was a very important point to be highlighted. It was also important to recognize that smart for one city could be very different for smart for another city, right? So an example of Ajmer, close to my hometown, Jaipur, is their priority was to just enable water supply 24/7 for their residents. So that was a smart solution priority for them, whereas the priority for a city like Chennai, in terms of being smart, could be completely different, and that's acceptable. So the context-specific needs was very well emphasized, and the only challenge that underpinned this whole discussion in our group was that right now in our cities, we do not have sufficient power in terms of the governance to really come up with context-specific solutions. A lot of time in terms of pushing good efficiency, a lot of smart city initiative has been derived, like a push down, a right of top-down approach, which is not correct. But at the same time, with bottom-up is also not very well done, because nobody knows in city who has the responsibility of each of these individual pieces. And this is the only governance challenge that was emphasized again and again, that this is something that we need to figure out, that who owns the assets in city, whether it is a municipal corporation, whether it is a state government, whether it is a central government, then the decision-making will become clearer and clearer. in terms of the solutions, our panel was very well represented by a lot of interesting, different perspective people from startups, from people who are giving money to these startups in terms of angel investors. Unfortunately, we do not have representation from a government body, but also academicians and prominent consultants who have actually enabled a lot of these solutions. And one of the idea was, one of the good thing in India happening is the focus on the deep tech, particularly even in the startup world. Not only from the government's policy push, but also in terms of our venture capitalists recognizing the importance and the kind of long-term returns that these deep tech investments are going to bring, and that was highlighted as a very important aspect, and that's something that should be continued. They also shared a lot of examples where this technology developed in this space can actually change the policy. So it's not the policy governing the technology change, but actually you do innovation so much that there are immediate takeovers of the people, and they end up making it mandatory for everyone. So there were interesting case studies. But one thing that was the final conclusion of the session was that the solutions to these problems, of the urban problems, have to be India-specific and have to be done by us. From nobody else, it cannot be done. There can be hundreds of case studies that we need to learn from. A lot of people have solved problems in patches, and that's definitely that we need to learn. But the solution has to be done by us. And in order to do that, we have to be persistent in our efforts. And they indicated clearly that, yes, developing the first solution is extremely hard, almost impossible. But once you solve the first case study, you almost lay the path for future generation to copy. And that's the kind of innovation that we want, that can be replicated within the Indian context faster and faster. One primary idea was a lot of time in the urban space, it's not only about the technology, it's a close mix of the society's existing ecosystem that has already been working. So you cannot completely replace. A simple example, in case the water is not coming to your house, somebody is supplying that water currently, right? No, people are not dying of thirst. If the water is not getting supplied to the regular channel, it means that is actually taken care by some or the other form of informal sector. So if you actually completely ignore this informal sector's presence in developing a new solution, then these solutions are not going to be effective. So you need to understand how the current processes work in order to integrate them better in the solutions that you're going to come up with. So yeah, this was the final idea. We ended up being that while we're talking about smart cities, but ultimately we have to also look at the one world in a way that some of the problems of global warming are global and only one world we all have. So the importance of recognizing a smart villages was also recognized, because if this balance of 60% urban population is continued to going in that favor, then no solution will ever be fruitful. So we also have to make the lifestyle in the villages also attractive, and perhaps think of smart for the villages aspect as well. So yeah, this is it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor Anuj Tiwari from the Advanced Manufacturing session.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be summarizing the discussions that we had on the Chintan Shivir on advanced manufacturing. I again have no slides, but this was the last session that we had, and the session began with a talk by Professor Asim Tiwari from IIT Bombay, where he talked about integration of AI in manufacturing. He focused on the geopolitical nature of the manufacturing sector and how AI will be the next, let's say, change. Manufacturing as a sector has changed slowly during some periods, but steadily, starting from steam engines in Industry 1.0, and that led to the British Empire. Industry 2.0, mass production and assembly lines, that led to the Germany's World War II, when they became very good at it. And Industry 3.0, the two countries that lost the World War II, Japan and Germany, used the wave of automation and electronics and sensors to become economically powerful. In the same way, what will AI lead to? It will not only have effects in manufacturing sector for creating more jobs and increasing efficiency, it will change the world order. And from the current, let's say, scenario in elections in Germany and the changing stance of US, this becomes an important aspect. AI began as defined as a capability to imitate human intelligence. But a 1989 paper on universal approximation theorem said that a certain class of functions can learn anything to any degree of approximation. But for certain while, this could not be applied because deep neural networks, which were behind the universal approximation theorem, could not be trained due to lack of data. That changed around 2010 when enough data was available in certain areas, such as in ImageNet, images were available in large quantities, and the available of the right hardware. A certain computer gaming industry player called NVIDIA was tapped into for training deep neural network models. So a combination of availability of data and the hardware to train deep neural networks brought in the AI revolution. So currently, data and compute are the main constraints on AI, and the same translates to AI in manufacturing. So what are the current challenges that AI methods face when applied to manufacturing? They cannot solve complex multi-domain problems, mainly because the data sets that are available are very narrow to those specific domains. And they cannot be used for training AI, let's say, models, because they are not available in sufficient quantity. Furthermore, the lack of sensors in many of the manufacturing processes. There are many hidden variables that go unrecorded when you have a machining process or a manufacturing process. And that not being available to the AI model, let's say, prevents it from becoming a good model for a manufacturing industry. These are safety critical systems in manufacturing, so there is no room for hallucination. As we know, AI models are have been shown to behave in a certain way where sometimes they don't give the correct answers. So that is what hallucination is. So it cannot really be applied in its current form. To summarize, the first talk focused on digital transformation, radically reshaping our world. We have to catch up with in this AI race to be, let's say, relevant on the world stage. And that ended with a question from, let's say, a person who was representing Vedanta, who was saying, what should they do in order to, let's say, in their own organization to tap into this AI for manufacturing. So the main recommendation was, we need to create a well-defined roadmap for digitalization of their current processes. Without a well-defined roadmap, they will be lost. And also preserve your data, because data is the main engine behind AI model training. After the first talk, Mr. Ramakrishna, Managing Director of F-Tronics, spoke about connected systems, where he gave examples of, let's say, multiple systems. When they become connected, they through sensors, IoT devices and things like that, then they become more efficient. One particular example that was given was a faster transfer of data in railways, which enables fewer accidents. And they have recently been able to have zero accidents in some of the, let's say, projects that they have undertaken. Another dimension of connected systems is easier propagation of fault condition information, which can be proactively addressed, and that can reduce the impact of those faults on those systems. Countering a little bit, let's say, to the first talk where AI was the focus, we also, Mr. Ramakrishna also focused that we need to consider financial aspects of integration of AI into existing systems. There are also limitations of what AI can do in the short term. So in the short term, systems that add value will be the ones that will dominate. After the second talk, we had a talk from Dr. Nagahanumaiya, Director of Central Manufacturing Technology Institute in Bangalore, where he focused on how do you develop technologies in India. For instance, he, let's say, gave an example of Raman spectroscopy. The Raman effect was discovered here in India 100 years ago, but until recently, let's say 1 year ago, all the Raman spectroscopy equipment was only imported. So we had the idea, but we could not develop a technological product out of it. So we took 100 years to develop Raman spectroscopy. So we need to change that. And he then elaborated that there are three main components of technology development in industry. Those are design, material, and technology, where he focused that material is one of the most challenging aspects. There are a lot of challenges in getting the right material for certain manufacturing processes. And then he talked about where various activities that CMTI is focused on. And then he ended with certain roadmaps where he again mentioned that materials and machines are the constraints that limit us from developing technology in industry. Product process innovation is missing, and less Indian IPs, limited opportunity for improvement, and novelty in the downstream operation. So we need to focus on creating Indian IPs so that we can leverage that IP to develop technology out of it. The second session was the panel discussion, which was started by a brief talk by Professor Ramesh Babu from Mechanical Engineering here in IIT Madras, where he talked about innovation in industry, and he focused on the 4 pillars that are the main contributors towards innovation: students, faculty, researchers, scientists, ministries, and industry. Eventually, he ended his talk with a focus on spiritual quotient in addition to IQ and EQ, which is very much needed if you want to live happily and also be more innovative. Next, during the panel discussion, there was a question which brought back this point of the lack of technology development in India, and this was to Dr. Saripaka, where he gave certain answers, where his view was one of the main contributors to the lack of technology development is the frequent shift in focus with from the policymakers, where in 1980s the focus was in superconducting materials. In 2000s it was nanoscience, and then these shifts do not enable long-term investment of funds in certain research directions, preventing technology development. After that, there was a talk by Mr. Dinesh Kangaraj, who is the head of FabHeads Automation, which is a company that was incubated here in our IIT Madras incubation cell. FabHeads Automation works on automation of fabrication of composite structures, and he, let's say, delved into the process of making a deep tech company, which can lead to technology development in India, which again, the main constraint here is finance. So the first thing that you start with is a proof of concept, which you can show to investors to get the starting money, which is followed by multiple, let's say, iterations of minimal viable product, and then it leads to commercialization. He focused on the point that now there is enough funds in the industry so that you can take your ideas to get some starting funding from some incubation cells to come up with a POC, which can then be converted into a commercialized product later on. Lastly, we had someone from Ministry of MSME, Mr. Vinamr Mishra, who detailed how is government supporting these aspects. First of all, he started with the point that the definition of MSME has been expanded. Now, 99.5% of the industry in India can be classified as MSME, and provides 39% of the GDP, 35% of the exports. He focused on what are the main challenges that MSMEs face. The first major challenge is access to finance. The second major challenge is access to technology. The third major challenge is access to marketing. The fourth major challenge is information asymmetry. Usually, MSMEs are too focused on their own operation, and they are not aware of the relevant advancements in their industry. So, and then he talked about the various schemes that the government is working to support the MSMEs to counter these 4 challenges. That was the last talk of the Chintan Shivir, and this is where I end my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Professor Varun Kumar on the session on rural technologies.
Good evening. I'll keep this short. Many things that Dr. Nikhil said about smart cities applies to rural as well. Rural technology development perhaps suffers the most from tunnel vision. In fact, at the beginning of the session, we learned from the speakers that it may not even be appropriate to say rural technology, to sort of differentiate it from some other kinds of technologies. This panel brought together stakeholders, representatives from all the sectors, industry, government, NGOs, and academia. And therefore, this panel took the first step in the right direction in discussing technology for rural needs. The key takeaways are the common image of rural as being backward and a place from the past is not correct. In fact, the contemporary rural is aspirational. They want uninterrupted power, network, supermarkets, etc. And the reality is closer to this modern version than the older version. And another misconception is rural is synonymous with agriculture, which is also not fully true. Technology needs for rural context spans everything from crop technology to energy and modern medical interventions. And the importance of having a holistic approach when it comes to technology development for rural context was brought out. It is important to take into account the human factors, language barriers, customization for local needs, particularly downsizing is one major challenge that is faced by technology development in this context. Factoring in local knowledge and expertise as strengths rather than weaknesses, in fact, striving to preserve local knowledge is key to creating impact in this space. And the importance of differentiating between perceived needs, what outsiders think as rural wants, from what are the felt needs is also a key factor that was brought out during the discussion. The modern digital platforms now enables all participation of all stakeholders in a single forum, enabling quick iteration of technologies for adoption. And another key takeaway is that livelihood is not just about income generation, but other dimensions of improvement, including nutrition, education, health, etc. The challenges are local fabrication, but platforms like Crossfire and ITC Mars are fantastic examples of modern digital platforms enabling local fabrication. Affordability continues to be an issue. Financing opportunities are improving, but we are yet to see large-scale impact, but we will see it in the near future. Finally, environmental impact of development and its impact on climate change will also be a challenge, but this is an opportunity for fundamental research. Development, sustainability, and climate change appear irreconcilable, but the panel brought out reasons to be optimistic. The example of using drone technology to handle locust attack in Rajasthan is one such example, where a modern technology was adopted for a local problem. And from the discussion, it was clear that the way forward is for all stakeholders, namely users, foundations, academics, industry, finance enablers to work together. And this panel with representatives from all stakeholders must continue its work as a group to chart a path forward. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And lastly, we have Mr. Madhav Narayan, CEO of IITM Research Foundation, to talk about the roundtable discussions.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, it is not IITM Research Foundation, it is IIT Madras Global Research Foundation, referred to as IDM Global. So it's basically an honor to be standing in front of you and as part of the final valedictory function. The flagship R&D exposition has been a hub of meaningful discussions, and yesterday's roundtable, which was themed behind empowering and strengthening relationships between industry and academia, was no exception. We had an insightful and engaging conversation, bringing together an extraordinary gathering of brilliant minds, consul generals from the United States, Malaysia, and Singapore, alongside influential industry leaders, both from India and beyond the borders, visionary investors, particularly from UAE and Malaysia, and key policymakers from India, the UAE, and Malaysia. Their perspectives and expertise made for a truly enriching dialogue on the future of research and innovation in higher educational institutions, and perfectly aligning with the theme of a global innovation showcase. The forum united Indian stakeholders and global representatives under one roof, also reinforcing IITM Global's shared commitment to fostering innovation and technological progress, to take the IITM assets global in driving industry collaborations and bridging the gap between research, commercialization, and industry needs. What we have discussed here at Inventive 2025 will not remain within here. It has to go on to drive industry breakthroughs, transform academic research into global solutions, and lay the foundation for India's leadership in cutting-edge technology. The momentum is already evident. India's R&D sector has had a remarkable growth trajectory, with nearly 100,000 patents granted in fiscal 24, 4 times the number in fiscal 20. According to the WIPO data, patent filings saw a 31.6% jump in 2022, highlighting the country's expanding innovation landscape and growing focus on intellectual property. At the same time, India has doubled its spending on research and development, though the central government still contributes nearly half of the funding. But our ambitions must go beyond just numbers. If India is to lead the future of global innovation, we must focus on deeper, more strategic interventions as elucidated by the key stakeholders in the roundtable. The key takeaways from the roundtable: 1, industry-academia collaboration, like in Singapore, research can reach its full potential only when aligned with industry needs, ensuring real-world impact. Hence, constant communication between academia and big industries is the need of the hour. IIT Madras Global Research Foundation is actively driving this by facilitating partnerships between IIT Madras and global corporations. Vocational skilling, polytechnic institutes play a crucial role in the US, connecting lab innovations to manufacturing, preparing a skilled workforce for modern technological advancements. In fact, the UAE has selected IIT Madras. I want to take this opportunity to let everybody know the UAE has selected IIT Madras as its knowledge partner for skilling programs, demonstrating the global reach of India's education and research expertise. Translating research and market, IIT Madras has incubated, all of us know, over 400 startups with a very high success rate from ideas to MVP and commercial entities, filed 300 plus patents. Last year, in fact, it was more than one a day. Stronger academic industry ties will accelerate the commercialization. One of the important topics that was discussed was bridging TRL 3 to TRL 9, right? That's one of the biggest challenges. Taking deep tech from TRL 3 to TRL 9 is tough, with high risks and long gestation. To attract the private investors, we had investors sitting there in the round table. They said that the government must match their funding, also integrating the business talent early ensures technology translation, because a lot of startups don't have the business talent, and this was brought out very, very clearly, because that will help in ensuring technology translates into real value, while the industry can accelerate growth by opening up procurement, IP acquisition, and supply chains for startups. One of the important points made was how can the industry help in the supply chain, where they have a very mature supply chain with them. Deep tech support, establishing translational cells in institutions can fast-track commercializing the IP. We do have it, but we can probably enhance it more. Startups like Agnikul, pioneering 3D printed rocket engines, are already gaining global attention, and more targeted support is needed to help such innovations grow. And we as IITM Global will be playing a crucial role in connecting these deep tech ventures with international stakeholders, ensuring they receive the necessary support needed at the right time to scale. Centers of excellence, expanding research hubs like we have in IIT Madras, will drive industry partnerships and turn promising ideas into impactful solutions. R&D at school level became an interesting topic that was brought up by one of the gentlemen from the UAE. He's a big investor. He is one of the largest shareholders of the Bombay Stock Exchange. So he mentioned that he's been talking to various states. A crucial step in this journey is nurturing research and development at the high school level. If we want the next generation to drive scientific progress, we must start equipping them now. And this is not just about encouraging curiosity, it's about providing young minds with access to the right tools, mentorship, and opportunities. A key enabler of these efforts could be the public-private partnership model. Global collaborations, countries like Malaysia are keen to collaborate in AI and semiconductors. Malaysia is known to be a semiconductor destination. So they are very keen, and this came from the Consul General of Malaysia. An IIT Madras Outreach Center is something they're wanting us to establish. We were recently in Malaysia, and they're very keen. It's in the state of Sabah. This could strengthen our global innovation footprint. Also, governments, academic institutions, and industries must collaborate seamlessly to bridge the gap between research and commercialization. IITM Global is already working towards enabling such partnerships and ensuring that India's research ecosystem is globally connected. Businesses are co-creators of research. This was a point that came up. Companies are no longer just consumers of research, they are becoming active contributors. And that is something that has to actually gain a lot of momentum in India. Companies are investing in medium to long-term research projects, understanding that real breakthroughs take time and require mission mode large programs. To support this, we must ensure that faculty appraisal systems reflect not only academic excellence, but also their impact on industry and society. And this was a summary note that was given by our own Chris Gopalakrishnan, and he said that these are the points that we should really make sure it happens, and we give it the push and the thrust that is required. So as I wrap up, I extend my deepest gratitude to all the Indian and global participants for their valuable time, because it was a high power 1 hour, sir, less than 1 hour, 45 minutes of 24 attendees, all coming from various disciplines. And most of them gave a feedback that they really loved the discussion. They wished they could spend more time and make things work. But one of the important summary points that was made was, let this not remain here, let us translate it into an action plan, and that is something that I said I will personally work and make sure that we translate this into action plan. So the insights shared in this roundtable, as I said, will not remain just discussions, but will serve as catalysts for real change, shaping the future of R&D industry, collaboration, and commercialization. The momentum we have built here will continue beyond this forum, translating into tangible action and long-term impact. This is just a beginning of many more conversations and collaborations to come. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Please join me in giving a big round of applause for all the moderators, rapporteurs, and the panelists from the Chintan Shiva sessions. I now take this opportunity to say a few words about our chief guest. Dr. Naga Hanumaya, currently the director of Central Manufacturing Technology Institute, Bengaluru, is a scientist with over 30 years of experience in manufacturing research and leadership at CSIR, CMERI, and CMTI. He holds a PhD from IIT Bombay and has contributed significantly to the field of micro-nanosystems engineering. As the founding head of Micro-Nanosystems Engineering Group at CSIR CMERI, he led the development of 12 advanced technologies and facilitated 5 technology transfers. He has 110 published research papers and 9 patents in his name. He is a fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering and a member of the International Association of Engineers and the International Institution for Micro Manufacturing. With that introduction, I now invite Dr. Naga Hanumaya to address the gathering.
Good evening, respected Director, Dean of IIT Madras, all the faculties from all the CFT, institutes and also the participating institutes in this IINVENTIV program. My association in this program this is my second association. Last year I was part of a screening committee when it was hosted in IIT Hyderabad to exhibits a screening committee, particularly on the Industry 4 and advanced manufacturing proposals exhibits. This time, thanks for Ramesh Babu and the Dean specifically for inviting me and providing me this opportunity to speak, because this is maybe dream come true. I don't know, even because it is, I was never expected this. What I see is this IINVENTIV, I can recall the statement like Chinese philosopher said, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. I think this is the platform for an engineering students to do something, showcase to amongst the peers, and then take the feedback and take the credits, because your friends can easily criticize than somebody else, and improve upon. That is the idea. But when I go through that exhibition, what I find is participation from BTech was less, more from PhD students. And another is mostly the exhibits were driven by faculty push. There was a faculty push rather than the individual push. Maybe I think we need, this is my just suggestion to IIT, this is basically IINVENTIV's team. Maybe we need to push more than the faculty driven, I think a student driven. I don't know what exactly to be done, but if this is a platform, because it is not that everybody will get it. So at the same time, all will not pass through. So definitely more the student driven, individual, innovative contributions comes up. Possibly because in my previous presentation also I was talking, because we are very good, but our research is more of marginal, what originality is the issue. Maybe we need to focus on that aspect, how to motivate our students to come up with something which is novel. Need not be, there's maybe a vague idea at this moment, but at the same time, yes, this could be taken up when this is a school level. That is one part. And the second part was maybe this can be easily implementable. What next? I don't know, because I'm not aware of the program. Say for example, I exhibit as a student and some idea is there, it is a good idea. Okay, I don't know whether we may get a prize or something, but beyond that, anything is there. Maybe some mechanism he or she should be handholded, connect to the industries. That is the second one. The third one is, can we use this platform, because these are all the best lot of students and an opportunity. Can we use this platform to idea generation to solve the national problems? Maybe if this exercise could be started early, maybe 1 year in advance. Anyway, next year you are coming up in some other IIT. Can we define today some challenges, throw the grand challenges open to no restrictions on either on the discipline on this, or maybe if it is not individual, if we can make team. Can we generate some ideas on the national cause, which this will go as an input to the corresponding line ministry, so that they can formulate the proposals and maybe the funding mechanism. So those another opportunity I think we can able to take this. And the third one is, the last fourth my suggestion is, I think we neglected Tier 2, Tier 3 colleges. I know this is an IIT, CFT institute's focus, but Tier 2, Tier 3 colleges, it is difficult because there are so many universities, so many schools. Maybe you can do it at different level before you bring it here. Even one participation comes from Tier 2 college, that motivates the others. I know there are several colleges, particularly the private colleges, they do a lot of hackathons and all. but that goes unnoticed. Mostly it ends with some small prize and one certificate from the college. Maybe you can do it in different level, then bring at least 1 or 2 percentage participation in this. I think that would also motivate these students very much. I think other than that, I don't have any other new suggestions. I think already panel discussions, lectures were really good. And it is also good, those who are not get opportunity to attend all the session, we also came to know that what all discussions happened in this. My only year, I'm sharing my own experience. I was part of hackathon program for computer science when I was in CSIR, when first time we hosted at NCL Pune. Based on that learning, when I came to CATI, I started because no such hackathon programs are there for electromechanical people. I started as a design innovation clinic. This is now 5th year in series. Our idea was a 3 days event. First day, before that they will submit abstract, and then first day we'll do some jury, both industry and academia and R&D institute. They will select entry 107 to last year it was 157, and this year we are hosting April first week. Now, based on that, we'll select 20-25 teams. But team was the 4 people. All 4 engineers should be a different engineer. Not you can't come with your own friend, mechanical, electrical, electronics, like that. But what is those who are shortlisted for the second year, second day, that is second level, they will get 30 hours time. 30 hours time, they have to start from scratch and make the prototype. Our experience shows all the 4 years, all the batches. The last year it was 157, so 38 teams. They made a prototype. And because it's a day and night program, we normally provide a dormitory like beddings. Not even single kid sleep. So 2:30 only will give some khichdi or some lemon rice and some tea, coffee. And also the platform is created, somebody can dance and all. No, it's very regular. As they want, they can dance it and all those kind of things. But these guys have made a prototype. Start from scratch, within 30 hours they made a prototype. Okay, because more of electrical, electronics driven, some robotic, wheel, but what we have seen is when jury goes for the evaluation, these kids forget that it is a competition. Because last moment problem, something is not running, something is burned out. The other students goes and, because this team is started crying, but other students goes and do it. I think they make a network. Finally, we developed around 16 products out of this last 4 years, and one possibly NRDC is funding them. We started the startup. Why I'm saying is, students wants opportunity. I'm sure IINVENTIV is one such. We should all appreciate. And students, you are lucky because you have the platform when you are in school, which was not there in our generation. Because the simple question, how many of us know stapler has how many parts? When we are in engineering school, at least no. At least stapler has 15, 16, depending on the design, the components. But now it is an opportunity provided through education system to open the stapler, make a different stapler or different modified stapler. I think that itself is a great opportunity. I think better utilize that and make a team networking. But I'm sure all the exhibitors participated last two days. They must have created already WhatsApp group. If not, please create. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. I now request our director, Professor V. Kamakoti, to present our chief guest to the memento. I now request our director to render his closing remarks.
So friends, a very, very productive inventive we had. I'm sure we are on the path and we are committed to basically come out with certain action points which we will put as an agenda for Inventive 2026. As you really told, sir, we on 3rd, when we are meeting for the visitors conference, all directors of IITs we are going to meet, and one of the first agenda point is what next, fir kya. So this is very, very important, because there is a need for us to follow up. No doubt, if we really are looking for Viksit Bharat 2047, we have to be a product nation, we have to be a startup nation, and Inventive, I'm sure, will play a very good role. Some very good takeaways came from many of the 8 sessions that we had, and also the round table, and also your comment, where we need to bring in the Tier 2, Tier 3 institutions, which is also amplified yesterday by the chairman of AICT. One of the requests that we'll be making down the line is that many of these institutions, we have taken 50 of top NIRF institutions, so we have participation from them. But we will request them to conduct hackathons, which will involve their regions and bring those kids here, and they can start demonstrating their whatever inventions they bring. I think that part will be some value addition that we will take up in Inventive 2026. There are very specific pain points that were being identified, specifically in the roundtable and also during the Chintan Shivers. We will work very closely with the government and also from the industry to see how quickly we can align on these and take more things forward. Some benchmarks really work. We started with patent area at IIT Madras, it has become reality. Next year we are looking at least in next 4 years, we must look at 1,000 MOUs. If we have 86 institutions, let us say we go to 100 institutions, each institution having 10 MOUs to be signed in Inventive, it's not going to be a far distant dream. Next 4 years, when we say Inventive 2030, we should look at 1,000 MOUs, 1 MOU day, where I don't know who will be the chief guest, have to stand the entire day to exchange this. I think that is something which we must ensure. One of the good learnings that we had was that we classified these 8 areas, and I think these 8 areas will stay for some more time, so we can, progress on these areas. We also see from last year, I think as in all of us were there at IIT Hyderabad and also at IIT Delhi, we are seeing an improvement in the quality of the presentation, quality of the products. Next year, I'm sure it will become much more. So we are seeing from TRL 4, 5, now we are seeing some things are in TRL 6, I must say this time. So we will see TRL 7, 8, 9 to come up. And we'll also follow up. We are going to write to all the industry people who have come here to see that, have you found some technology that is interesting? Are you going to follow up on that? And we will follow up with them. And at least we'll say no, then why no? At least that we need to know why you are rejecting. So I think, and that feedback we'll give back to the exhibitors. So I borrow from Air India, in Inventive, we never say goodbye. We see you again at 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Finally, I request Dr. V. Arumugam, the principal convener of Inventive 2025, to propose the vote of thanks.
So I also want to take this opportunity to thank my colleague, Professor Manu, and the entire team of ICSR for making this great. And also all the media partners, Footprint Global, who are all here, please get up. So one round of applause to the entire media team for putting all these things together. Thank you very, very much.
Good evening to all. We have just come to the last item of this two-day event, Inventive 2025. The event had Chintan Shivers on 8 themes and R&D Expo that set the agenda towards achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat. On behalf of the organizing committee, I take this opportunity to thank Sri Dharmendra Pradhan Ji, Honorable Minister for Education, Government of India, for his special message to the event, and the Ministry of Education for their continued support. We also thank Dr. Sugandha Majumdar, Honorable Minister of State for Education, Government of India, who has inaugurated this event yesterday. We thank respected Chief Guest of the Valedictory function, Dr. Naha Anmaya, Director, Central Manufacturing Technology Institute, Bengaluru, for presiding this function. Many people involved and contributed towards successfully organizing this event. We acknowledge all of them, but I wish to name few of them here. I take this opportunity to thank our respectful Director, Professor Kamakodi, and energetic Dean and ICSR. Give me a big clap, Professor Vansandano, for their vision and guidance, and that helped to conduct this event most successfully. We thank the steering committee, chaired by Dr. Pawan Payanga, Chairman BOG IIT Madras, under the convener of Director IIT Madras, Professor Kamakodi, with the directors of 20 other academic institutions for guiding the event. We thank directors and deans of several institutions and faculty members, students from all the participating institutions for attending the event. We thank the exhibit nomination screening committee, local organizing committee, Sastra magazine editors, Mr. Madhav Narayan, Chief Executive Officer, IIT Madras Research Foundation, and his team, Mr. M.G. Kaviraj Nair, Chief Executive Officer, Office of Institutional Advancement, IIT Madras, and his team for their valuable efforts in shortlisting exhibits, meticulously preparing panel members for roundtable discussion, and 8 thematic Chintan Shivers. We thank Sastra magazine editors for compiling and printing coffee table book and exhibit catalog. We thank all the experts from government, industry, startups, academia, and representatives of foreign countries for spending their valuable time and sharing their thoughts during the roundtable discussion and Chintan Shivers. We thank all the moderators and reporters of Chintan Shivers. We thank all the principal investigators and students from 38 academic institutions for showcasing their invention in the 148 already stalls. The number of exhibits more, but stall is 148, and IIT Madras Pavilion. We thank all the Yomantan Hackathon winners and persons attended the MOU exchange program. We thank Dr. L.C. Mangal from DRDO and Dr. O.R. Nandagoban, DRDO Ramanujam Center of Excellence at IIT Madras for attending the project sanction handover function. We thank IIT Madras Pravadak Technology Foundation team for conducting Yomantan Hackathon event at IIT Madras. We thank the talented team of specially able artists, Miracle on Wheels, for the scintillating performance held on yesterday evening. We thank all the industries and others, numbering about 1,750 from all walks of lives, who enthusiastically visited the exhibits, appreciated the inventions, and attended the Chintan Shivers. We thank our media partner, Footprint Global Communication team, led by Ms. Bhavani Gidu and Mr. Sairam Radhakrishnan, for the print and social media communication about the event. We thank CII and FICCI for the disseminating information about the event to all their industry contacts. We thank all the deans of IIT Madras, Director Office officials, and Dr. Mrs. Jani Prasad, Registrar, IIT Madras, and her team for their kind help in organizing this event. Our special thanks to Engineering Unit and Housekeeping team. We thank Mr. Kannan Krishnamurthy and his team for the live stream of the event program and audio-video activities. We last but not the least, I thank my colleagues from ICSR, Deputy Registrar, FA, all chief managers, and others for their valuable contribution. Special thanks to Mr. Ilayaraja, Mr. Kannan, Ms. Beulah, Mr. Kirti, Mr. Muttaya, Ms. Mimala, Ms. Devanagi, and Mr. Sudhakar Reddy. Also special mention to all our volunteers, as without their support, we could have not able to conduct this event. And we hope all the visitors had a good hospitality at IIT Madras, and if something is missing, we apologize for the same. With this, I end this program and thank you all once again.